Paske li ok pou pa ok. Paske pale kapab rend bagay yo miyo. Paske eseye komunike se un sin fos. Toujou gon rezon pou pataje ki jen ou santi yo. Paske santé mentale ou konte.
Professionnel soin nan kay yo se yon pati important nan ekip santé ya ak yon nan profesyon kap développé pi vite aux États-Unis. Assistant soin nan kay yo sipote moun ki gen anpil l'âge ak moun ki gen yon handicap pou yo karite vive la kay yo sans danger. Les assistants yo ede yo nan aktivite tan kou kwit manje epi fe achat nan maket. Massachusetts offri yon formation gratis en ligne ki pral montre yo kompetans ou bezwen pou vinyon professionnel kap travay nan yon kay. Le ou bay soin yon lot moun ki nan bezwen, c'est un kou ap bay yo la vie.
Being here, this is our first roundtable of many. We are here today because for our administration it's really important that everyone in our Commonwealth is informed and that they have the information right here. You know, like we are giving as much access as we can. Today we have so amazing people that work in our administration to make sure that our communities are safe, protected, and you know, as of right now, we are gonna start our conversation. As I said, this roundtable is the first one, so get ready for all the ones that are there that are coming up. And I just really want to thank each one of you to be here because I know how much work you guys have, right? Sometimes you are like multi-reporters that do it all. Right, you edit, you come, you do the story. So I just want to thank you for making the time to be here. And whenever we have our coffee, we can start it.
And we're just so thrilled to have Valentina on board on our communications team. You know, Kim and I are about communication, collaboration. I think you know our priority, and we share with you the priority of making sure that we are a government and administration across every agency and department that is inclusive. And you know, part of that, of course, is making sure that we have a communications team and effort that really reflects that. And as Valentina said, you know, you guys are the ones who are out there doing it all. Not only are you doing the reporting, but we rely on you in government as being trusted resources for your communities. And in a time and an age when there is distrust sometimes between government and some of the communities that we are here to serve, having you all there as a respected, trusted voice when we want to communicate information that we think is important is really valuable to us. And similarly, you have your ears to the ground and your eyes on things. Your ability to tell us what is needed is so important to push us as we think about the formulation of policy and the work that we need to do. So I thank you for that. I'm really excited. We're just going to jump right in. And is that right? And introduce the team? Yeah. Yeah. Why don't we do that? But first, I'm going to turn it over to the most terrific teammate that I could have and that you could have as Lieutenant Governor. You've had an opportunity, many of you, to work with Kim Driscoll as governor, as mayor in Salem. And now in this new capacity, we're super psyched. So thanks, I turn it over.
Appreciate that. It is great to see everyone here. You know, I'm the daughter of an immigrant. Some of you know that. My mom was born in Grenada and grew up in Trinidad. And I know that people get information from different sources, different communities, and that's why I think we're so thrilled to have such a full room here as we not only introduce some of our team members, but also share with you our goals. We're really striving to make sure we're building an information and education pipeline that's outside all of the usual suspects, and that we're being linguistically and culturally appropriate as we do it. We're striving to get better at that in terms of ensuring that we're doing the translations, making sure that as we're sharing information, it's also being done so in a way that recognizes not everybody's living in the same place, hearing the same things, having the same lifestyle. And for us, you're a big part of that effort. So grateful for the fact that you're here today. We want to build strong relationships we're thrilled to have Valentina on the team, so we can make sure that we're having more regular opportunities for outreach and communication. And just know that I'm sure there are things that we're not going to get 100% right when it comes to sharing information, but we are striving to do that with respect to the cultural appropriateness and the languages that we know. We have this rich, diverse tapestry of people in this Commonwealth. How do we make sure we're connecting with all of them? And that's really our goal. So thanks for being here, and look forward to more conversations to come.
It's great.
And I think we're going to turn it over to our registrar, is that right? Or we wanted to go around the room
Not
first?
yet.
Not yet,
Yeah.
okay.
Let's start with the introductions to the team, and then everyone will have like 2 minutes to introduce what you're doing each day. And I know your ladies have excellent updates about our empowerment councils, as well as April will talk a little bit more about the board and commission. So like, let's kick it up with.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jalenis Villamán. I am the Director of Community Affairs here at the Governor's Office. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about our two councils, which are the Latino Empowerment Advisory Council and the Black Empowerment Advisory Council. For the Latino Empowerment Advisory Council, we have started our listening sessions throughout the communities here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with 6 listening sessions. During the month of June, we'll have about 5 listening sessions, and in July, we will end here in Boston. All our listening sessions are posted on mass.gov. Thank you to Valentina and the comms team, that you can have access, as we have translated it in 3 languages, Spanish, English, and Portuguese. Today, I'm gonna apologize right away because I'm gonna have to leave because we have our Worcester listening session. But for the rest of our listening sessions, we will have it in Framingham, in Brockton, in Boston, as well as Worcester tonight. So if any of you want the information, we will have it. I also have extra flyers that I can pass around with all our listening sessions for the Latino Empowerment Council. For the Black Empowerment Council, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Jordan Crispin, who is my Deputy Director. He is working a lot on the Black Empowerment Council, and that particular council will be finalizing their listening session, and we'll start it at the end of the summer. So please stay tuned, as we will post all that information on our website. And you can always reach out to Valentina and the team if you need any information. And I do also want to thank a few of you who has posted our information to get it out to the community, because this is so important and vital to making sure that we have successful listening sessions. And why are these listening sessions so important? Is because we are compiling recommendations and ideas about things that are affecting our Latino community and our Black community as well, to make sure we discuss it with our governor and lieutenant government to improve the life and economic of our community. So once again, thank you to all of you who have spread our information. And for those of you who need the information, please know that my colleague Jordan will be here to answer any question, as I will be leaving shortly to Worcester.
So good afternoon, everyone. April English, I serve as the Chief Secretary. What does that mean? That means that I oversee the appointments to our over 700 plus boards and commissions, as well as numerous appointments throughout the administration. In this role, the team is bringing the lens, obviously, of equity, inclusion, and diversity, and making sure that we are focusing on geographical representation and equity, race and ethnicity, the LGBTQ plus community, our veterans community, as well as our disabilities community. We just recently revamped our website. I'm excited about that. We were able to get it out before Juneteenth, which was my goal, so that people would have, as Valentina said, access to information and information about boards. So I'm going to give you 2 sites. First is the mass.gov/boards. That is the new site where you can actually apply to boards and commissions on that site. You can take a look at all the boards and commissions that are available. You can also see what vacancies are available on the different boards and commissions. The next address I'm going to give you is an email address, because as I stated, we want you to have access. We want people to have access to us and be able to reach us. And so you can ask people, or if you're interested in being on a board and commission, you can ask them to send their resume and their interests to appointments.governor@mass.gov. I'm also happy to leave my business cards here for you. because you can also just email me directly with any information or inquiries that you may have regarding boards and commissions, as well as appointments throughout the administration. Thank you.
I would love, so this is exciting for us. We know Secretary of Health and Human Services is Kate Walsh. Kate's got a lot of really important agencies within HHS. One of those really important agencies is the Massachusetts Office of Refugees and Immigrants. And we're here today to make sure we introduce the new leadership team. Christina Aguilera has come on board to be our executive director of ORI. We're super, super excited. We started this morning celebrating World Refugee Day, and the Lieutenant Governor and I signed a proclamation for this special day. And we were visiting Jewish Vocational Services, where Christina herself received services 10 years ago, and look at her now. So we're really, really proud to have you at the helm. Joined in a stellar, stellar leadership team by Susan Church, who is not with us today. Some of you may know Susan from her work representing a number of immigrant folks from the immigrant community, particularly, against a former presidential administration that was doing things that were very harmful to the community. Susan has started, but she's not with us here today. But we have Ronnie Miller with us today, and Ronnie, I think you probably all know, but we're delighted that he has come on board to join the team, and he's going to be doing all sorts of things, particularly focusing on resettlement and all the connections that we need to make with agencies out. So I want to welcome you both. If you want to say anything, you're welcome. You're welcome to. It's the first day. Nothing like a press conference on your first day.
Literally your first day. Right? Day one.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Valentina, for putting this together, and thank you to all the members of the press here. Many of you good friends, people that I have had the chance to work for a very long time to make sure that all the opportunities, the information, the issues, the accessible either programs and other things that can be out there for our communities are really, really in their fingertips, thanks to the incredible work that you all do. And I am just really thrilled to be able to lead this office that I believe strongly can really, really show to all of our country and our state how important are the contributions of immigrants and how big of an opportunity it is to have all of you here, who many are immigrants yourself, and to just make sure that our communities not only receive the information but are empowered to have access to make their dreams come true. So thank you so much, and I'm really honored to be here with all of you.
Oh, Christina said it so well. So.
I'm gonna let the LD introduce the registrar.
Great. So Street Motor Vehicles, and why we thought it was important to have Colleen here is the Workers and Family Mobility Act, something that we are excited is finally underway, passed by the legislature, and also passed at a referendum. And we're excited about the opportunity for undocumented residents to be able to get a driver's license, and have been gearing up in preparation for the implementation of that law, which starts July 1st.
Yes.
And so we wanted to make sure we introduced Colleen, because you haven't been working on anything much lately, just to share a little bit more about that effort and why we're excited about what this opportunity can mean for so many people who are living here in Massachusetts.
Sure, thank you, Lieutenant Governor. So the registry has been working very hard for the last year for this implementation. We're very excited and very grateful to advocates, to legislators, to all the political leaders who really have gotten us to this point. And we're very thankful to the Governor Healey administration for giving us support so that the RMV is ready for this implementation, and we are ready. So how are we preparing for this? July 1st is a Saturday. The registry is not open on July 1st, so the first day of business will be July 3rd. Monday, July 3rd will be closed Tuesday, July 4th, and then reopen on Wednesday, July 5th. We are adding employees into our service centers for road tests, for our call center to make sure that all of our frontline services can be delivered in a reasonable time frame. We're extending our service center hours Monday through Friday. On July 8th, we'll be introducing Saturday hours at different service centers across the state to make sure that customers that need access to license-related appointments, which would be permits, out-of-state conversions, license renewals, have access to that. We're very proud of all the work that we're doing with translating documents to 15 different core languages. That would be inclusive of our driver's manual, which we hope by tomorrow we'll be ready to post. We also have a variety of business checklists for identification, for preparing for a road test, for how to register a vehicle, and everything in between that we are also working hard to translate, as well as all of the important communication that we're doing with all of the various audiences. We're very proud of the work we've done with Driving Family Forward. They've been an important partner with us for the last several months, where we've been exchanging information, ideas, concerns with how to prepare, both what the registry should expect and what people are afraid of and what they need to do prepare, and then also clarifying the process to get a license. The process to get a driver's license in Massachusetts is to start with making an appointment for a service center. And for most of the customers that are eligible under Driving Family Mobility, it will start with a permit test. That's a 25-question multiple choice exam that you have to get 18 questions right to pass. And that process starts with an appointment where you bring in your identity documents, and then you have the option to take the test in the office or remotely. Once you pass the permit test, then you have the ability to make an appointment for a road test. In the road test, you need to know your hand signals, because safety on the roadway is very important. We have a lot of important bicyclists and pedestrians that share our roads. And once you've successfully passed the road test, you'll have a temporary driver's license in paper format. In your permanent driver's license, a 5-year standard driver's license will be issued to you and come via the mail in about 10 to 12 days after passing your road test. So we're very excited to serve all of you, and all of the communities that certainly deserve access to services and equity. So thank you for your time.
It's such a celebration that this law is in place and it's gonna start in July. And I think we just need to have this message of, like, make your appointment, get your documents ready, because we know how much our community does in their daily basis. So like going to the RMV without an appointment or without like one piece of document that they're missing, it could be like a loss of their day. So we just want to like make sure that you guys help us tell the communities that make your appointment online, don't go to the RMV if you don't have an appointment, and make sure that all of your documents are ready. I think that's key, and that will help us a lot to get this process started, starting in July. Do you want to introduce the secretary so they can talk a little bit?
Sure. Yep.
Hi, I'm here on behalf of Secretary of Economic Development, Yvonne Howe. She's not here because she's at our Economic Development listening session in Chatham. This is the biggest work going on in our division right now. Every 4 years, the legislature requires that the Economic Development Division undertake a comprehensive plan and listening tour to really set the goals and agenda for economic development in the Commonwealth. As part of this conversation, we're looking at everything from healthcare to tourism to small business to international trade to life sciences. But the best part of this is we have listening sessions all throughout the Commonwealth. Today, my colleagues are in Chatham. Not a bad day to be on the Cape. But we've had 5 sessions prior to that. Our last session in Roxbury had over 250 people. All of our sessions are open to the public. We have 4 more to go. One in Framingham, one in the Merrimack Valley, one in the Berkshires, one more that I will remember probably right after I leave this room. But we really encourage everyone to come and be part of the conversation. Economic development in our division deals with not just businesses that are really large, like our big life sciences or tech companies, but small businesses, hair salons, family-owned restaurants. A big part of my portfolio is tourism, which is a priority of the administration around how do we do a better job. It's a big workforce driver in Massachusetts, as well as prioritizing our rural parts of the Commonwealth with our first ever rural director. So a lot is happening, but the real priority is being heard, right? How do we get as much participation as possible as part of this process to ensure that our economic development plans are equitable, but also that it really encompasses all of the Commonwealth. So I know the Secretary was sad not to be here today. She's doing good work where she is, but I would encourage everyone to come out, be part of the conversation and work with us as we sort of build out these big plans.
That's great. Thank you so much, Undersecretary. I was going to mention Deco. Deco's on our team now too. Deco Jabril. Yes. You all know Deco?
Yes.
Deco's come in. She's going to drive and help oversee all the work with our micro businesses and small businesses and entrepreneurs. So we're really, really glad about that.
Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Jones, Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development. I have the opportunity to oversee a cabinet, or a secretariat rather, that has 7 different departments and divisions. I think for today I want to talk about one of our biggest priorities, which is workforce development. Coming in the door, I know this was a top priority for Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, and certainly for myself. And as I think about how we can tackle this issue that impacts Massachusetts, but states across the country, we're not alone in this, but we can think about our approach very uniquely in Massachusetts. We have the opportunity to think about it in a few ways. One, making sure that we are closing our workforce skills gaps, understanding where talent is today, where untapped talent is today, and how we can create a pathway to close those gaps. And a big part of that is in collaboration with economic development, education, health and human services, and many other secretariats across the governor's cabinet, and providing that pathway to a meaningful career. And thinking about that career is the second part, thinking about how we are understanding the needs of employers and making sure that as we do the training, we are training people for the jobs that are here today, but also for the future, and making sure that we understand what employers are looking for and how we can provide opportunities through significant dollars that we have, which is exactly why just a couple weeks ago, the administration launched Mass Talent. So if you visit www.mass.gov/Mass Talent, it's intended to streamline resources so that as we think about job opportunities in healthcare, life sciences, advanced manufacturing, and clean energy, there's one resource that you can go to streamline that communication and knowing how a job seeker or an employer can connect. I think also we want to make sure that we tackle the barriers that we know exist for individuals who are currently employed but looking to upskill, people that are left on the sidelines, people that have a need for work supports but not yet able to jump back into the labor market, whether that's childcare, English language learning, transportation. We want to make sure that we think about those barriers as we invest in job training so that it's part of the solution. We're thinking outside the box to ensure that that untapped talent, as well as existing talent that can use more skills, can again go into that meaningful pathway for being part of our thriving workforce here. So we know it's multifaceted. Those are just a few priorities that are top of mind that I wanted to share. And if I can plug one last thing, as we think about different resources, we have 29 Mass Hire Career Centers. The governor and I and Claudia and Ronnie, we were at one of them just today at JVS in downtown Boston, but there's 29 across the state, and it's a great opportunity to be able to connect job seekers as well as employers to resources in communities to make it easier for people to be able to access the opportunities that we have here in Massachusetts.
I'm Pat Tutwiler, Secretary of Education. It's great to be in community with you this afternoon. I lead the Executive Office of Education, which is the umbrella secretariat for 3 agencies that support learning and development for our youngest learners in infancy all the way up through college. And so as you might imagine, that's a big, big task with a lot that goes into it, but I like to think of it as our work as creating the conditions for all of our learners to realize their dreams. To add more concreteness to that, we came right out in mid-January with a set of organizing principles to help us add some shape and structure to our work, creating the conditions for all of our learners to realize their dreams. And those organizing principles are stabilize, heal, and transform. Those organizing principles are designed to first acknowledge that we're still in a period of recovery coming back from COVID. The stabilize and heal principles are all about addressing issues around mental health, which we see and experience across all levels, acknowledging that there's a significant staffing issue with respect to teachers and leaders in our classrooms, and really being a supporter and a partner to schools and districts on addressing those. We also want to acknowledge that we don't want the challenges to be barriers to transformation. We can and should be the nation's leader in terms of thinking about the best ways to meet our students' needs. One example of that is something we're really pushing hard on, something we call reimagining high school. As a former high school teacher and former high school principal, I can say definitively that high school has changed very little over the past, say, 50 years. We really think it's high time to make some significant shifts in the high school space so that our students have what they need to move on with their lives, realize their dreams, get into the career or college of their choice, things of that nature. I've been given 2 to 4 minutes to speak to you this afternoon, and so I want to offer the opportunity, if you'd like to dive a little bit deeper on those organizing principles or any aspects of the work in which we're engaged. I welcome you to reach out to me, patrick.tutwiler@mass.gov. The other thing that I just want to lift up in this moment, we started this week with celebration yesterday with Juneteenth, but we're also particularly vigilant as we're expecting a Supreme Court decision to come out on Thursday morning. As I believe many, if not all of you know, the Supreme Court has taken up the issue of race consciousness and admissions decisions. This administration under Governor Healey's leadership has gotten ahead of that. We've developed a council, the Advisory Council for Representation in Education, which is a diverse group of leaders and thinkers who will advise us on whatever the outcome of that decision is, but we're set and ready to go with that. And we've also started to communicate directly with our gateway communities around resources that are available for college planning, for families, free resources. So we're getting ahead of this. We are ready for this, and just noting that after the decision, you will hear more from our office.
I'll never follow Reverend Tutwiler. I'm Kate Walsh. I'm the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and the first thing I want to do is thank you. We learned during COVID the essential role and responsibility the multicultural media had in saving lives. And you guys were a big part of that in getting that information out. And I think it's more than just sort of language accessibility, it's also cultural competence and sort of the intangibles, knowing where people go, what they're gonna look at, how they're gonna receive information that really just save lives. And I'm here to ask you for your help again. You know, we do a lot to reach the people that we serve, but we are going through a redetermination process for our Mass Health program, the state Medicaid program, that we're obligated to do that every year. It was suspended for a few years because of COVID, and now we have to reach 2.4 million people to determine their eligibility. No easy task. So, you know, we're doing lots of things. We're not just relying on you, but, you know, we have an army of door knockers, people who are going door to door in our 15 top targeted communities where most of our members live. But to the extent possible, if you can run stories and share information about the fact that if a blue envelope comes in the mail, please don't ignore it. We need you to follow the instructions in that envelope. It's written in up to 15 different languages, but it really is going to be really important that the people know what steps they need to take to ensure coverage. And if they are no longer eligible for Mass Health, that's good news because it means their income's increased. It's great that we're here in Massachusetts and we can connect them literally to the Health Connector where there are premium supported and other products available for them. So I'm going to thank you in advance for getting the word out as we really work hard to help all of our friends and neighbors get through this transition in health insurance coverage.
Just know the team at Mass DOT and the T have worked tirelessly to come up with a significant number of alternative travel options, but we know that this is going to be painful. We know that. It's going to be painful not just for the North Shore and the Interport communities, it is going to be felt throughout the Commonwealth. This is an essential project, but we will, like I said, continue to work tirelessly to make sure that people know about the alternative travel options, but to make sure that we are also responsive to the needs of the communities, to our riders, to the users of the roadways, but also making sure that everyone understands the necessity for this project And knowing that we are going to have to do this again next summer, we also want to make sure that we're listening to the lessons learned, listening to the feedback from the communities. That's what we're here for. I would give you my email address, but it is so shockingly long at DOT. But I will make sure most of you know where to find us. But to go into the specifics, I'm going to hand this over to the Highway Administrator.
Thank you, Undersecretary. And as the Undersecretary said, this is a huge initiative for us. It's probably second only to what Colleen's doing, the one project everybody's most excited about this summer, but in different ways. Not nearly as exciting as what Colleen's doing. But as the Undersecretary said, this is a big project. This is a 90-year-old tunnel we're talking about. These are essential safety repairs. This year we're doing the ceiling. Next year is going to be the driving surface of the deck. It's a big tunnel. It's almost a mile long. It's the second oldest one in the United States, and this is the most extensive repair that we have done on the project in its 90-year lifespan. Bottom line, you will be impacted by this project if you drive anywhere near that area of Boston and East Boston where the tunnel is going to be coming from. We have a lot of highway infrastructure that is centralized around Logan, so if you're going anywhere near that direction, you're going to feel it, but especially if you're coming from the North Shore, which is where it serves such an essential commuting link for many people every single day. So we've been doing a lot of work to try to give people good options to not be on the roadway. Our #1 goal this summer is to ditch the drive, get people out of their cars, and use one of the alternative modes of transportation that we've been working really closely with our partners at the MBTA on to make sure that we free up as much roadway space as possible for people who don't have those alternatives because of the directions they're going or because of the kind of jobs that they have, which may have them traveling off hours. So I think probably the biggest thing that we're doing this summer to ensure that there's really good service, alternative service for people, is we are making the Blue Line free for the 2-month period. So this is starting July 5th and then through the end of August. Gates will be open. There'll be free service for anybody who wants to use the Blue Line. We're additionally providing discounted parking along the entire length of the Blue Line down to $2, and as well as the commuter rail. And the commuter rail itself also will be discounted heavily. That will end up being a Zone 1A, which again is equivalent to a subway fare for the period of the tunnel closure. Both of those services are great services. The T has done a lot of work to take care of those slow zones that exist on the Blue Line so that there is adequate capacity and headway during the time of construction. The Blue Line right now is only at about 40% capacity on any given day, so that's a lot of room to grow, and the T has the ability to add on additional cars if we get more people that taking that service, and we want those trains to be full. Same with the commuter rail. There's additional capacity there as well, and again, we want all those services to be full. If the Blue Line or the commuter rail isn't the option that you want to take, we are also doing a lot of work on ferry services. For the first time in many years, we're bringing back the Lynn Ferry. We are also providing free and discounted service on ferry coming from East Boston, from Lynn, and from Winthrop. And then there's additionally the existing Salem ferry is also going to be in use and leaned heavily on during construction as well. And then finally, we're working very closely with Massport to make sure you have really good options to get to the airport. They're offering 25% discount on Logan Express, and that also gets you some special consideration getting to the front of the line for checking in through security. And they're also providing extra service and buses on the Silver Line too, which is also a great service to take. Finally, I'll say, this is again, just to reiterate, this is by far the most impactful project that we're doing this summer, and we really need as much help as we can in the next couple of weeks to make sure that people know what they can do to make the impacts reduced. Still, it's going to be a very, very difficult project, but the more help we can get from all of you folks in the press, the better. We really, really want to get the word out. Thank you.
We don't want to see anyone lose coverage.
Hi, my name is Ron Mitchell. I'm the editor and publisher of the Bay State Banner. I purchased it about the first Roundtable. I've been back there with Channel 4, cameraman for 27 years. But now at the helm of the Banner, I have a whole different responsibility. And one of my questions was, well, one of my statements was that I want to let all of the folks, all of the commissioners know that we'll be hearing from our team, because part of our upgrade of our website is to create what we refer to as an interactive online resource. So we're embedding the links to various different resources within the state, public, and private sector, so that folks, when they come to our website, not only can they read the information and identify the different things that are opportunities for them, they can actually click a link and go and apply for that opportunity, apply for that loan, apply for that education, apply for that information, and all of these things. So I'm going to give you all a heads up right now. In the next week, you'll be hearing from members of my team starting after the end of this week. We have our big night coming up and maybe our town. Looking forward to a video. I also had one other comment and statement. I've only been at the paper for 3 months, but some of the feedback we've been getting from the community is kind of a dual review of the administration. It is obviously the most diverse administration that our state has ever seen, and everybody in the community that we serve is really excited about that. But in some ways, they feel there's still a disconnect in the ability to interact. Now, it's wonderful to hear that in your department there was listening sessions, and I know in various different departments there were plenty of listening sessions in Rockford, but just listening to Yelenis, excuse me, she brought up that there weren't listening sessions in Rockford until September. Now, I don't know if it's a cyclical thing. I've only been here for 3 months, so I don't make any assumptions, but it just seems to me that waiting 9 months when there are other listening sessions in other communities in reference to community affairs could leave people with a misimpression of the importance of all communities for the balance. So it was a question for her, and I feel she's gone, but I did want to kind of bring it up and just make sure folks think about the perception and make sure that, in the most diverse, and we welcome that community. It really is impressive. I applaud the whole team and everything.
Well, welcome. We're all new, so we look forward to this. I think what you'll learn from us is we're really a team that wants to make people accessible. So whether they're going on podcasts, whether they're going to give you content, this is a room of talented, mission-driven people who also empower their teams. Okay, so that engagement is encouraged. They each have, working through Valentina and also Jillian Fenimore, their own press secretaries, and the more we can have that, the better, because it's great to have programs. We have mass talent, right? We were going to be cranking and getting some job training lined up with syncing up vocational schools, community colleges, and actual industry jobs. You can have a program, but if people don't know about it, what good does it do? So that's definitely how we want to roll with everything. And people also are, these guys, we're lucky we got them all here in the room today, because usually they're out and about all over the state. And I look forward to the new relationship moving forward. I just want to clarify what Yelenis was referring to. We have people who are doing roundtables and meetings in Roxbury in communities all over, and have been for the last 6 months. What I would say, she was speaking specifically to the council meeting. We recently appointed a Latino Empowerment Council and a Black Empowerment Council chaired by Tanisha Sullivan and Tony Richards. And they set a schedule for, because they want to come back to us in the fall with things. But we can never be, we can never be out there, as much as we want to, but I think we have promoted a very active listening, just vibe, generally speaking. But, more work to do, for sure.
Mark, and then Edward.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Neal from 98.1 FM, the Urban Heat. First off, Governor and Lieutenant Governor, I applaud you for the diverse and mostly female administration. It's amazing. I just wanted to reiterate what the young lady over in the corner said. Being a Black-owned independent radio station, for us, as well as Spark and Big City and the other outlets, the Banner, we also would appreciate it if when those media spends come about, that we're recognized, because we are able to reach an audience that the larger media doesn't always reach. So just, wanted to point that out and just keep in mind that as a small business, it is definitely appreciated if we are recognized and included in the media spend moving forward. That's it. Thank you.
That's great.
I left out of my notes that we had 9 minority buys to minority-owned media companies as part of the Mass Health strategy. I should have highlighted it in my notes. I forgot. But we need to do more.
Absolutely, look forward to it. And I'd imagine too, I mean, we need to do buys in the form of public service announcements. And I'm sure you'd be willing to let us come on and do that work, get that work out, however you want to style it, and, advertising, whatever, but, we need to be able to reach people, big time.
I'm Eduardo de Oliveira. I work for a Brazilian registration called Insuperável, based in Framingham. I have one question for the Undersecretary and one question for the rest. For the Undersecretary is about Easy Pass penalty fees, because it has come up in my radio shows almost every day that people are being penalized a lot. Sometimes it's $800, sometimes $900 for something that was supposed to. For example, there was one listener who called, he said his bank card was hacked in some other state, so he lost the access to the card. Now he goes through the Easy Pass, and the fee that was supposed to be 30 cents is added $25, and then balloons to $600. And when I opened up the mics, I found 15 other cases. So is anything can be done about that? And for the register is about the Social Security part on the Mobility Act. Why does it need to be there if the law was made to people who don't have Social Security? Is there any specific point that was made to include that? Because most of the people don't have Social Security.
I'm going to kick the easy pass over to the administrator.
Yeah, so we got rid of our penalty system back when we went to all electronic tolling. So it should be the base charge, and then that's it. It doesn't compound like it used to. There was a time like 10 years ago where it used to really get jacked up. But if there's specific ones like that, we encourage people to contact us right away, and we'll try to work through their specific things, because we certainly.
This year, there is no customer service phone number directly. They say it's through the mail, and when you send the mail, you need to wait 4 more weeks, and then 4 more weeks on the charge, it balloons to something more.
Okay.
So it's happening.
Yeah, we have both our. There's a MassDOT helpline you can call directly, as well as an Easy Pass helpline that you can call directly. Both are on our website too. And again, if there's some direct cases that seem to be an anomaly, and it does happen. The problem with all electronic tolling is that when you have those electronic license plate reads, sometimes if somebody's plate is dirty or whatever, it can get screwed up in the read. And there is, on occasion, it's very accurate, but on occasion, about 1% of the time, there is a misread. But we want to hear about those right away, and we'll try to chase those down.
Well, we can get your contact information, and then we can connect with you.
Yep.
Please go on the radio and explain our work. That
would be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. Regarding the Social Security number, so motor vehicle agencies really strive for one driver, one record. So people's driving histories travel with them, whether they transfer amongst states. And typically, United States wide, the driver license uniquely is tracked by people's Social Security numbers for when there's matches. With Family Mobility, we implemented a regulation effective May 26th that allows for a Social Security number affidavit document to be completed. So people applying for a standard driver's license, they can provide a Social Security number that we validate. They could provide a Social Security number denial letter, or the new option starting July 3rd is the Social Security number affidavit, which is a document that requires some basic information. It will be translated into at least 15 different languages. It requires the applicant to sign it with the notary, or bring it to the registry unsigned and sign it in front of one of our employees. and that will serve and meet the Social Security number requirement. It states that you are swearing you've never been issued a Social Security number, and it will take the place of the Social Security number requirement.
Well, actually, I'm going to be making the question instead of Grace. First of all, thank you so much for putting this together. It was long due. We all wanted it. We all needed it. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much. And this is going for Colleen. Colleen, we truly appreciate the fact that you folks are helping out. Están ayudando tanto a todos los latinos que vienen acá, all the Latinos that come out here. They have no, obviously, papers. And it's being long due, obviously, as well. But I know there are facilities as far as you go into AAA now and getting your different IDs or whatever the case may be, license, driver's license in this case. Is that going to be also a possibility for those folks that can't obviously have their papers just yet, but they are trying to get the driver's license, and obviously they have all the paperwork that they require, because you need to have the paperwork required, obviously.
So right now with our relationship with AAA, they don't cross any transactions where the individual doesn't have a Social Security number, okay, and they only process transactions for their members. But it's certainly something, once we get through implementation and understand the types of demand and how it's coming to us, if that would be advantageous in the future.
Okay, and I didn't identify myself, Chocolate from Rumba 97.7, and you also are more than welcome to use myself, and I know there are many folks out there that will also use their social media to broadcast whatever is going on in the city and whatever is going on in the state as well, okay? Thank you, folks.
Last thing, as I was talking, one very important thing just to throw out there, with this new influx of drivers that we're going to have, new-time drivers, getting insurance is going to be the next kind of educational process. So how do we explain to our immigrant community that just because you live in one city, you pay way more than someone else who lives under this disparity of rates that is so prevalent with the insurance industry?
Well, let's take a look at what the numbers are from DOI. As Attorney General, we went after some of this, so I haven't seen what the latest is. If you've done some reporting on it or investigation into it, let's talk about that. Obviously, we're a team that wants to end all disparities like that. And let's just, if you've got more, let's look into that. We could certainly ask DOI to get us the latest numbers on that, because we don't want to see that kind of, we don't want to see that happening.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Valentina. And I guess, a question is are there things that would be helpful to you all in terms of making our administration more accessible to you in your outlets? Like what?
Okay, so I can listen to my colleagues requesting to have an opportunity to become like a vehicle to be able to publish information directly from the state. If you think about suggestion, if you accept a suggestion, I would say that you have a department to deal with this minority media that now it grew so much with all the influencers and all the other platforms that even the mainstream media is using. And I think that would be a way to both us getting to understand better about all the information that comes from the state, but also for the state to get to know this community. Because we are actually in so many different places that I think it's very hard to reach from where you are in the state.
I'm so glad you said that, and I want to be clear. So we have now, for the first time, I think, in any administration's history, we have for the first time a director of multicultural media, and that is Valentina. She has a team too. Where's Ayub? Ayub? Khalil, okay? Stand up. No, we can see him back there. Okay. Ayub is a press secretary. Okay. Where's Isabella Montana? You're here? Okay. Okay. Also on this team and supported by others from the communications team, including the social media folks. It's just, and then of course within each agency we have people, but know that we're trying to build this. So if you have ideas, even if they're things that we aren't doing well, especially things that we aren't doing well, we want to hear about that, But this is really helpful today to.
And thank you, because it's new. Like I didn't know about the whole structure that you're creating, and I think it's going to be wonderful for both the communities and the trade.
We need you. We need you. We do. This couple of other ideas. Yeah, you other ideas?
Just make a quick remark. J.R. De Oliveira with WPIX 1260. It's a Brazilian radio network. We have, I see that we have quite a few people that represent the community, and very, very little that has to do with either media buy, just a simple communication between the states and what we understand to be the largest ethnic community in Massachusetts. Brazilians, give or take, 500,000, Portuguese, 500,000, 600,000, 200,000 Cape Verdeans. So we're talking about the largest community being the Portuguese-speaking communities. And we have very little engagement directly with either Health Connector or any other governmental means. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to sort of cross those bridges and perhaps start having a dialogue and see how we can help each other. Appreciate that.
We welcome that, JR. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Ana from Brazilian Times, and I would like to continue with the language of the Portuguese. We see a wide open door for the Spanish community to access public service in their language. But when Brazilians see this service, access in Spanish is often offered, but the language is different. They are very similar, but it's different. And the government intends to invest more in access this service in Portuguese, since Massachusetts nowadays have 350,000 Brazilians live here. And do you intend to open more the door for Brazilians in Portuguese when they try access the public service?
Oh, absolutely. And, I'm sorry Marconi can't be here today. Many of you know Marconi Almeida Barros. And I mentioned Marconi, who's Brazilian, but more importantly, or as importantly, he is the chief of access and engagement for our entire administration. So we're sensitive to that. We want to make sure on issues of housing, workforce, education, transportation, healthcare, that we are as dialed in as we can be, in getting the word out, getting information to you, and let this be the start of a really amped up effort. Okay, thank you.
Louis Morrow from the Real Media Group. Also would like to voice that it would be great to, I think us that we're a radio platform, 92% of Hispanic households still listen to podcasts, morning show, afternoon show. So radio is not dying, at least in our communities. And I think that it's important to show up to those conversations, show up to the shows, and just let the community hear your voice. It's super effective. I talk to people either from Colombia or a lot of people in the Brazilian community. Radio for them at home is validity. It shows, hey, if they said it, we have to believe it. Especially right now with social media, not a lot of people have been looking for sources either through Twitter, through Instagram, through Facebook, these huge platforms, small businesses as ours, really make sure that we give the right information. So showing up or just being there, us we'll show and we'll give our platform for any PSA to get this message across.
I love that. You love going on the radio.
I do.
We get a lot of drive time. We're driving around. It's great. We love calling.
Next week.
You thought it was if Alberto said it was validity. No.
Yes, Santiago Matias from Power 102.9.
I've been on your show.
Yes.
I've been in the studio.
I coming from Lawrence, the more Latino city and the whole state. 95% is Latino. I only want to say thank you for including people like Valentina, all these guys here that can talk to us in our, language, and we can reach more, better, everything that happened in the state, and your administration. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And we also, do you know this guy against the door?
Oh.
Juan. Everybody knows Juan, right? Juan Gallego is our Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff for the administration, and I know many of you have come to know Juan, but grateful for what he does. So, you had something to say.
Well, I guess I get the last the last word. Well, I want to thank Valentina, very good. I know that you work for this and more. And thank you to the governor and lieutenant governor. And I'm going to be very quick. I had a question for the Secretary of Workforce, and it's regarding the new platforms you have for employers to reach out. I come from Worcester, Central Mass, from Espresso, and in the morning we get a lot of small business owners. I work with that population, and they always concerned about how can they reach one of the 29 agencies that you have. I'm like, well, you can access them online, but I feel like there's still a little bit more of reach out to do to those small businesses, besides how someone that English is their language, reach out to the website, you can do this and that and apply. Any upcoming maybe meetings, like one-on-one meetings that can be going around the community, like door knocking to those small towns?
Well, I thank you for that question. I would say across the board for everyone's feedback today, this kind of feedback is super helpful, fresh perspective as we get settled into our role. But specifically for your interest, whether you're in Worcester or some other gateway cities, there are career centers. The Worcester one's right on Main Street, so you can go online, but you can also go physically into a space. I know during the pandemic they were virtual, but they are now open again, and there are resources. If English is not the first language, there are resources available, maybe case by case, by career center, but we can definitely making sure we understand the needs in the local community so we can make sure that there's access, whether you go into the physical space, you can pick up the phone and talk to someone who can translate, or actually be there on site. But I know we also partner. I mentioned early on how I'm teaming up with the Secretary of Economic Development, Education, others. Part of the reason to do that is we need to make sure that it goes hand in glove with what we are doing for workforce development. So with economic development, that includes access to small businesses, and making sure we understand the needs of small businesses. We have an awesome workforce training fund that employers, including small businesses, pay into, and you're able to then have employers access to help reskill and upskill existing employees. So I'd love to make sure that this full community here, but beyond, has an understanding of the wealth of tools in our toolbox so that they become your tools that you can help to amplify to your constituents. But we will definitely think of more ways we can start with our career centers, but then certainly through your networks to reach more people so they know where to turn, whether they're employers or job seekers.
Thank you. And lastly, is for me, I get like so many messages people within my community that they reach out to us, finding out about when is it going to be, when is it going to start, what do I need, and I'm afraid the website is going to crash with this appointment. And one of the things that I heard you saying is that they need to get their paperwork together and make an appointment.
Yes.
The appointments will be when they're ready with the documentation on the 17th?
So we're asking people to wait till July 1st to start making their appointments for the permit. And we'll be adding additional appointments to the rest of the meeting.
Yes, because right now how it is, I've seen it because I have some Portuguese clients, and even though they can translate the page in Portuguese or other languages, they come into a stop when there's no appointments available, so they feel afraid. And there is, I don't know if my colleagues here know, but there is an anxiety in people about this whole family mobility or licensing for all.
We're getting ready to implement something that will make the customer experience better, and we'll be releasing that information very shortly. Maybe.
We also don't want people getting taken advantage of. We know sometimes, people will make statements that aren't true to try and, provide information that's not accurate for a fee. And so whatever we can do to avoid that. Like, you should not have to pay a fee to get an appointment. There'll be a system that's set up. And the more we can make sure that, that's also a concern.
That's a really good point, though. I mean, it's like, the notarial fraud and everything else, and we cannot do that. So I think what the goal is to make sure that all of you have in hand as soon as it's ready. Nobody's trying to hide the ball on anything. It's just a matter of making it as good as it can be. Getting that to you all sooner so that you can disseminate, so that people can see, here's what you need to do, and here's what's happening, right? I think that should be that is something we want to make sure we leave with today, to be able to have your help in disseminating that. The same around redetermination, the same around other things. We did not get a chance to ask about or figure out when we want to do our next roundtable, whether people like coming to the State House, whether you want to do it in other places around the state. Roxbury, tell me. For right now, if you need things and you can't reach an agency or you have questions or what have you, just get to Valentina, okay? And we'll sort all that out. But you can. What's that? To Brockton. LG was just there yesterday.
Yeah, you.
And
just one thing for us to think about, we do have an immigrant advocacy groups that we meet with on the Worker Family Mobility Act pretty regularly as we head into the lead up. It would be interesting when we think about that, whether we want to connect with folks that might be here. That first week of implementation, what are we hearing? Do we need an FAQ or something that course corrects? So we'll bring that back and talk a little bit about that. Because you may be hearing things that are different than what some of our immigrant advocacy agencies are. Folks who are calling in who may not be as plugged in even within their own community. So that might be worthwhile for us to think about.
Yeah, and what we'll make sure we do? Let's do it. Let's do a couple test runs with people of community, from community, actually trying to utilize the site.
Try run.
These are all things we should do.
And if you have more questions, you can always go to the press conference tomorrow. Again, you have all that information in your folder, and if you don't have it, I'll make sure that you do later today. I just want to close our first roundtable today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to Valentina and the team. Great.
Paske li ok pou pa ok. Paske pale kapab ran bagay yo miyo. Paske eseye komunike se yon sin fos. Toujou gon rezon pou pataje ki jan ou santi yo. Paske santé mentale ou konte.
Professionnel soin nan kay yo c'est yon parti important dans équipe santé ya ak yon nan profession kap développer pi vite aux États-Unis. Assistant soin nan kay yo supporte moun ki gen anpi de l'âge ak moun ki gen yon handicap pour yo karete vivre la kay yo sans danger. Les assistants yo aide yo nan activité tant kou kuit manger et puis fait achat nan maquette. Massachusetts offre yon formation gratis en ligne qui pral montrer aux compétences ou besoin pour vignon professionnel kap travail nan yon kay. Les ou bay soin yon lot moun qui nan besoin, c'est un coup à bay yo la vie.